So the concerns about self-preferencing are, for example, think about Amazon again, huge marketplace. If in its buy box, which tends to be where everybody makes their purchases, I don't know how it works in India actually, but in the UK, there's a buy box, which tends to be the place which people tend to buy from the buy box, and the buy box essentially chooses one supplier to be the kind of default supplier. If that buy box always actually is the Amazon retail provider rather than a third-party provider, so that consumers actually have to do quite a lot of work to find the third-party provider, then that is arguably a form of self-preferencing that will let Amazon expand its position as a really important marketplace into being actually the dominant retailer against third-party business other retailers. So that's self-preferencing. Now, but there is also positive effects potentially of self-preferencing. There is actually an economic literature on this. If you've got a great new service and you're trying to encourage people to use it, then actually really pushing that great new service that people may never have tried before, saying, yeah, try this one, it's really excellent, that can actually be really good, but it's also self-preferencing. So it's one where it's delicate. If you get the rules wrong, you could harm the positive aspects of self-preferencing, and that wouldn't be good. And I would just highlight that because actually the US has also been looking at regulation in this space. The EU ban on self-preferencing only relates to rankings. So it says if you've got a ranking of suppliers, you shouldn't you shouldn't preference your own service in the ranking that you provide. So it's about a behavioral economics because it's about ranking and people being affected by ranking, but it doesn't ban self-preferencing completely. Okay. By contrast, the US has had 2 goes at this. Well, it's had a few goes at this. The first time it actually just banned all self-preferencing and all discrimination, which many people thought went far too far. And actually the most recent proposal goes even further. And if it went through, which I don't think it will, would ban any platform from competing with its rivals at all. For rivals using its platform. The reason that would be a bad idea, if you think about, I don't know if you have these things, but Apple iPhones and Apple also has Apple Music, and there's also a product called Spotify, which offers music. It would be very appropriate to say that Apple Music shouldn't always put Apple Music top of the list when people are searching for music programs. That would be what the EU would require. But what the US would now require is that Apple Music can't compete against Spotify at all. And there's two responses of Apple Music to that. One is to stop having Apple Music, which wouldn't necessarily be good. The other is actually to stop carrying Spotify and only having Apple Music, which would be even worse. So if this US rule went through, I think it would be basically a disaster. So that's just an example of the kind of rule that can sound good in theory, and when you think about it, it's not good. So really important to ensure that rules are effective, but also proportionate, or also don't have these very negative unintended side effects. That is obvious in a way, but it's not straightforward. And that, I think, is the big challenge. And it's also where economics is really important.